I'm Jake, 32, and if there's one lesson I've learned the hard way, it's that nothing stings quite like being treated like a stranger by your own family. My sister, Melanie, is 29. We used to be close, climbing trees, building pillow forts, sneaking into mom's cookie stash. Somewhere along the line, that closeness dissolved, not overnight, but piece by piece. College came and went. She got a degree in fashion marketing, started curating her Instagram like it was a lifestyle brand, and slowly began pruning people from her life who didn't fit the aesthetic. I didn't realize until much later that I'd been quietly pruned, too, just without the courtesy of being told. Still, I showed up. Every time. Birthdays, baby showers, engagement dinners. Even when I wasn't exactly welcomed, I told myself, it's family. You show up for family. And when she got engaged to Ryan, a perfectly polished guy with a perfectly curated life, I didn't blink when she asked for help with the wedding budget. I didn't hesitate to write that check. $5,000. I remember the exact number because it was my bonus for hitting my quarterly target at work, and I thought, what better use than helping my only sister start her new life? I mailed the check in early. She never said thank you. Not even a text. Fast forward to the wedding day. The venue was as fancy as you'd expect. Ivory tablecloths, string quartet playing near a rose-covered arch, even little glass bowls filled with imported Italian almonds at every table. Everyone looked like they'd been plucked from a magazine ad. Airbrushed makeup, tailored suits, practiced smiles. I showed up in a charcoal suit, tie straight, hair combed back, not flashy, but clean. I felt proud, honestly. Like even if we hadn't talked much in recent months, I could still stand there, proud of her, proud of me. The first sign that something was off came when I got to the welcome table. There was a seating chart in a gold frame, organized by table number. I searched for my name. Once. Twice. Then again, slower. I checked for my first name, my last name, even just Jake. Nothing. I thought maybe it was a mistake. The woman at the table, some young blonde with a clipboard and a headset, smiled too brightly when I asked for help. Oh, are you with the bridal party? She asked, blinking at her tablet. What's your name again? Jake. Jake Morgan. I'm Melanie's brother. She blinked. Oh. 1 second. She tapped something in her earpiece and gave me that uncomfortable smile people give when they don't want to be the messenger. Okay. Yeah. So the family section is kind of full, but feel free to stand in the back. You can see everything from there. I stared at her. Stand in the back? It's a great view. Honestly, she added, we tried to keep things intimate, you know? I wanted to believe she didn't mean anything by it, that maybe someone made a clerical error. But then I heard laughter behind me. Familiar laughter. Melanie's voice. Jake, she called, waving casually. Her dress was gorgeous, lace and satin, with a long train and a ridiculous veil that probably cost more than my car. She approached like everything was fine, gave me a quick side hug, and said, so glad you made it. Sorry about the seating. We had to prioritize people who've really been there for me these past few years. My stomach turned. I gave you $5,000 for this wedding. She blinked like I'd brought up the weather. And I appreciate it. Really? But, I mean, Ryan's family flew in from Connecticut, and my stylist's parents are here. And your stylist's parents got a seat? Well, yeah, they've known me since I started my boutique, she said, then gestured to the stylist, a man with bleached hair and snakeskin loafers who was sipping a mimosa at the front table. Look, you'll still get to enjoy everything. Just from the back. You don't mind, right? You've always been low maintenance. That word again. Low maintenance. Like I was a lawn ornament. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Just nodded, smiled, and let her walk away. The ceremony began. I stood in the back, hands in my pockets, trying not to feel ridiculous. My name wasn't on any program. No one asked if I was family. When I overheard someone assume I was probably one of the caterers, I didn't correct them. I just waited for the moment that would let everything click in my mind. It came during the reception. The gift table was draped in satin, covered in envelopes, glittery cards, and carefully wrapped packages. There, right in the center, was my envelope. I recognized the pen I used and the thick card stock I'd bought just for the occasion. Inside it was the check I'd written 2 months ago. I walked over slowly, deliberately. Picked it up. I don't know what expression was on my face, but the wedding planner noticed. Sir, can I help you? No, I said, slipping the envelope into my inner jacket pocket. I'm family. She opened her mouth, probably to argue, but didn't get the chance. Melanie must have seen me from across the dance floor, because suddenly she was there, veil bouncing behind her, bouquet clutched tightly. "Jake, what are you doing?" she hissed. I met her eyes. Calm. Just grabbing my check. She blinked. "You can't take that. That's a gift." I smiled. "Right. For family. But since I'm apparently not that, I figure someone else can pay for the honeymoon." Her face flushed red. "Don't do this. Jake, seriously, don't be that guy." I turned toward the exit. She followed me halfway down the hall, heels clacking furiously on the marble floor, hissing my name over and over. "Jake, you can't just leave. What am I supposed to tell Ryan?" I paused at the door, turned slightly. "Tell him the free ride's over." And then I left, while the music behind me swelled and her voice echoed down the corridor. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. I drove home in silence. No music. No podcasts. Just the rhythmic hum of the tires on asphalt and the sound of my own thoughts trying to untangle themselves. I kept replaying her voice in my head. We had to prioritize people who've really been there for me. Over and over, like a skipping record. The worst part wasn't even the humiliation. It was the realization that Melanie had stopped seeing me as a person a long time ago. To her, I was just a walking ATM with no emotional cost. I had given quietly, supported without question, and in return, I was offered the standing room section like some forgotten side character. The next morning, I woke up to 14 missed calls. 12 from Melanie. 2 from my mom. The first voicemail was Melanie's voice, high-pitched and panicked. "Jake, listen, I don't know what you're trying to prove, but that check was already recorded on the budget. We put it toward the honeymoon. Ryan is furious. Just call me back and we can talk this out." The next one, barely an hour later, was more clipped. "You're making a huge scene over nothing. It was one mistake. Is that really worth ruining my wedding?" And then the third, well, that's when I knew she still didn't get it. "You always find some way to make everything about you," she snapped, voice shaking. "God, no wonder you were always alone at school events. Maybe if you weren't so cold all the time." I stopped listening there. I didn't need to be guilt-tripped by the same sister who had smiled while seating her hairdresser closer than me. Then came Mom's voice. "Jake," she began, already sighing like I was a disappointment. "You embarrassed your sister. She's crying. Ryan's family is upset. People were talking, asking where you went. Why would you do this on her special day?" I didn't reply to any of them. Not yet. Because I knew they didn't want a conversation, they wanted damage control. They didn't want to hear how hurt I'd been. They just wanted me to sweep the moment under the rug like always. And the sad thing? I almost did. I almost called back and apologized just to make the discomfort go away. Almost. But something shifted in me. Maybe it was all the years of being quietly sidelined, of being the one who wouldn't make a fuss, of being the safe choice, low maintenance. I was done playing that role. I didn't need their acceptance anymore. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much I had let things slide over the years. Like 2 Christmases ago, when Melanie gave me a used candle as a gift, literally used, with the wick already burned, while I bought her a designer purse. Or last summer, when I helped her negotiate her boutique lease with my lawyer friend, and she didn't even invite me to the store's soft opening. I told myself I was being a good brother, but all I was doing was enabling. So I sat down, pulled out my laptop, and opened my online banking. I checked the balance of the account I'd created for her as a wedding gift. I transferred the $5,000 check into it early, but I hadn't locked the funds yet, thankfully. A few quick clicks, and the transfer was reversed. The account was now closed. No more access. I was in the middle of forwarding the confirmation email to myself when my phone buzzed again. This time it was a text. From Ryan. "Be a man and fix this." I stared at it for a solid minute, stunned. Then I typed one sentence back. "Enjoy your honeymoon. Hope the hairdresser tips well." I blocked his number. But the silence didn't last long. By Monday, the calls stopped coming, but the guilt bombs started dropping from other relatives. Aunt Karen emailed to say I'd tainted what should have been the happiest day of Melanie's life. My cousin Sean messaged me asking, "Did you really take the check back? That's not cool, man." And then came the kicker. On Wednesday morning, I got a call from the bank. Apparently, Melanie had attempted to deposit a copy of the original check she'd made a photocopy of for her wedding scrapbook, allegedly. The bank flagged it as potential fraud. When they called to verify, I confirmed everything. I even sent in an official request for fraud monitoring on my account just in case. By Thursday, the tension had exploded into full-on chaos. Melanie finally broke her silence and sent me a long, angry email titled, Are you happy now? She accused me of ruining her marriage before it started, embarrassing her in front of Ryan's elite family, and damaging her boutique's image since some of her social media followers had noticed my absence in the wedding photos and asked about it. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Instead, I logged into Instagram and quietly removed the tag from her boutique's page, where I'd previously been listed as a founding supporter. But the best part? That came later. Turns out, the honeymoon wasn't paid off yet, only partially secured by my check. Without it, the final payment didn't go through. The hotel, some ridiculous private resort in the Maldives, canceled their reservation. I found out because Ryan's younger brother posted a bitter story on Instagram, from white sand dreams to basic beach reality. Thanks, Uncle Jake. I screenshotted it and smiled. But trust me, this was just the beginning. You haven't even heard what happened when they tried to recoup the money through a family donation fund, and how I responded when Melanie made a very public plea for forgiveness and support. The fundraiser went live that Sunday. A GoFundMe link popped up on Melanie's Instagram story with a muted beige background, an aesthetic font, and a caption that read, "Sometimes life throws curveballs. We're heartbroken and humiliated, but we believe in love and community. If you'd like to help us recover from the financial disaster that blindsided our honeymoon, we'd be so grateful. Every little bit helps." No names. No specifics. Just vague, curated victimhood. It was dripping with false humility. I knew exactly who that message was meant to target: her followers. Boutique clients. People who didn't know the full story, just the version where she was a blushing bride wronged by some mysterious, cruel event. In the comments, people rushed in with sympathy. "Oh no, what happened? Girl, you don't deserve this. Donating now. People are so petty. I hope you still had the best day." The gall of it. I wasn't surprised, not really, but I was disappointed. Again, it would have been easier if she just admitted what she did. Owned it, even privately. But instead, she was playing the hurt party, positioning herself as the innocent victim of some nameless betrayal. I kept scrolling through the comments, watching the donations roll in. $25. $50. One woman donated $300 and wrote, "Hang in there, sweetheart. Karma always works out." Yeah, it does. So I took a screenshot. And another. Then I got to work. I didn't blast her online. That's not my style. But I did something better. I called Monica. She's an old friend, someone I dated briefly back in college, who now happens to work in communications and branding for small businesses. We hadn't spoken in a while, but when I explained the situation, she laughed and said, "Wow, that's rich. So you want to shake the tree a little?" "No," I replied. "I want to cut down the whole damn orchard." We drafted a short, professional post. Not aggressive. Not nasty. Just a quiet correction of the record. It read, "Hi everyone. I've seen a few posts lately implying there was some kind of financial emergency involving a recent wedding. For transparency's sake, I want to clarify. The couple had full financial support from me, including a $5,000 wedding gift, until I discovered I wasn't even considered part of the family. I made the personal decision to withdraw the gift when I was treated as an outsider, both publicly and privately. This wasn't petty. It was self-respect. I wish them well, but I won't bankroll disrespect. No hashtags. No name tags. No direct mentions. But it spread. Fast. People knew who it was about. Especially when I posted it as a pinned tweet and a public Facebook update, one that several mutual friends saw. A few even reshared it, adding their own shocked reactions. One cousin messaged me, "Wait, what? They made you stand in the back." Another said, "Wow, I donated $100 to that GoFundMe. I want it back." But what really lit the match was a comment from Melanie's college roommate, a woman named Jordan. She reposted my message on her story and added, "This tracks. Melanie always treated her family like accessories. Glad someone finally said it." The comments snowballed. Donations slowed. And soon after, I noticed the GoFundMe link had vanished. But not before Ryan chimed in. He sent me a private message, longer this time. No more macho posturing. This one was more calculated. "I'm disappointed, Jake. Whatever issues you had with Melanie, airing them out like this hurts both of us. I thought we could be civil adults. Is that not possible anymore?" I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded the message to Monica, who just sent back a single emoji. But here's where things truly took a turn. A week later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring, then checked the voicemail. It was the wedding photographer. Apparently, Ryan had contacted him demanding a full refund on their wedding package, claiming the photos were ruined by family drama and that one of the groomsmen looked miserable the whole time. The photographer politely refused, but he was calling me for a different reason. He'd followed me on Twitter after seeing my post, and he had something to share. "I figured you might want to see this," he said. "They asked me to edit you out of the few pictures you were actually in. That one hit me harder than I expected. Edit me out. I hadn't even been in the professional portraits. The only photos I'd ended up in were the wide reception shots, and they still wanted me erased. It was like I was radioactive. Or worse, invisible." But the photographer was kind. He emailed me a folder of the originals, including one where I was captured standing alone near the back wall, watching my sister walk down the aisle. I looked calm, detached, but present. It wasn't a great photo, but it was real. I saved it, didn't post it, didn't send it to anyone. I just kept it, because no matter how they tried to rewrite the story, I knew what happened. And so did they. That would have been enough. But then, the boutique scandal happened. I wasn't planning to do anything more. I had made my point, walked away with my dignity, and the story could have ended there. But life, or karma, maybe had other ideas. The boutique scandal started as a whisper. A few quiet comments under Melanie's newest product launch on Instagram. Her shop had just released a new line of artisan clutch bags made with what she called ethically sourced imported materials and boasting a $250 price tag per item. They were sleek, minimalistic, stamped with her initials in gold foil. The post read, "Support local, support handmade. Love always wins." Except someone didn't buy it, literally or figuratively. I recognized the username immediately at Craft by Carla, a small-time Etsy designer I'd seen Melanie tag before in stories. This Carla person had commented, "Hey Melanie, these bags look familiar. Pretty sure you bought these wholesale from AliExpress. Same stitching, same shape, same everything. Why lie?" The comment had 1 like, then 5, then 50. By the time I checked again an hour later, people were angry. Someone had done a side-by-side comparison of Melanie's $250 clutch and a $12.99 listing from a Chinese supplier. Same design, different logo. And someone else had dug deeper, claiming Melanie had borrowed branding copy from another boutique's website. Her replies were defensive. First, she said, "I work with a global team of suppliers. My designs are inspired by multiple sources." Then, she deleted the comments. But people screenshotted everything. And the boutique's followers? They turned fast. Within days, her posts were flooded with sarcastic comments. "Global team equals Alibaba. Got it. Is this made with the same integrity you treat your family with? Girl, you faked a GoFundMe. Now you're faking your products." She tried to disable comments. Then she tried turning off her account temporarily. But the damage was done. The internet doesn't forget, and Etsy sellers especially don't play around. The small business community turned on her like a pack of wolves. People reported her for false advertising. A few customers who had bought the bags even filed for chargebacks, citing misrepresentation. Then came the cherry on top. A former intern of Melanie's, someone she had barely paid, according to a story that surfaced, posted a now viral TikTok titled, "What It Was Really Like Working for a Girl Boss Who Hates Her Own Brother." It had over 300,000 views in the first day. In the video, the intern detailed how Melanie allegedly bragged about cutting out toxic family while still taking their money, boasted about manipulating her followers into feeling bad enough to donate, and laughed about editing her brother out of the wedding photos because he didn't match the aesthetic. The comments section was brutal. I knew I recognized that wedding story from somewhere. She really played victim, then turned around and scammed her clients too. This is why you never trust people who call themselves empaths in their bio. She lost over 10,000 followers that week. Her boutique's website quietly went down. The GoFundMe was reported and removed. And in a particularly ironic twist, one of her boutique's landlords, who had been following the whole thing, terminated her lease for reputation-related breaches of contract. Apparently, she'd signed a clause that allowed the property owner to cancel tenancy if the business generated negative public controversy harmful to the plaza's image. By the end of the month, Melanie was back home. Not in the Maldives, not on some glamorous honeymoon, not in her chic apartment, but in my parents' guest room. I only found out because Mom called. "Jake," she started, her voice softer than I'd heard it in years. "I just wanted to say, I think I understand now. I didn't say anything. Just let the silence stretch." "She's been crying," Mom continued. And I'm not saying that excuses anything, but I think she's finally realized what she did. Again, I stayed quiet. She said she wants to reach out to you, Mom added gently. She's been too embarrassed to call. I almost laughed. Embarrassed. Not remorseful. Not accountable. Just embarrassed. Let her be embarrassed, I said calmly. She made her choices. Mom hesitated. But your family. I was family, I said. Until she decided I was disposable. A pause. Then, you're right. That stunned me. I'd expected guilt tripping, maybe some pressure to forgive, to be the bigger person. But instead, Mom sounded tired. Like all the pretending had worn her down too. I should have spoken up, she whispered. When she handed you that candle for Christmas, when she left you out of the store opening, when she said those things at the wedding. I saw it all, and I stayed quiet. That admission hit me harder than I expected. Why? I asked, quietly. Because it was easier, she admitted. I thought, Jake's strong. He can handle it. And I didn't want to be the bad guy. But I see now. I was just being a coward. We talked for another 10 minutes. Nothing dramatic. No crying. No screaming. Just honesty. And when the call ended, I felt, not closure, exactly, but something close to peace. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. From Melanie. It was 5 pages long. Most of it was excuses. I was stressed. I didn't know you felt excluded. I thought you wouldn't care because you always act like nothing bothers you. And, of course, I didn't mean to hurt you. But tucked near the end was a paragraph that mattered. I see now that I used you. And when you finally stood up for yourself, I made you the villain. I'm sorry. I won't ask you to forgive me. Just know that I regret it. And I miss you. I didn't respond. Not because I was still angry, but because some things don't need to be reopened. The apology wasn't owed to me, it was owed from her. And she'd given it. That was enough. As for the check, I donated the full $5,000 to a small Etsy collective that helps local designers with startup costs. I made the donation in Melanie's boutique name. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about putting something good into the world after being treated like I wasn't part of it. And every time I see someone post a clutch from that Etsy group with joy in their caption and pride in their eyes, I remember that standing in the back didn't make me less. It just gave me the clearest view of who truly deserved to stand beside me. I may not have been seated with real family that day, but in the end, I remembered something she had forgotten. You can't Photoshop integrity.